let me remember my password here. Sean is awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey guys, like you heard, my name is Sean. I'm the student life pastor from Brook Life Church, and I'm so excited to be here today celebrating your accomplishments with you. And I hope all of you are so proud. You've all worked hard to finish school so you can continue on with your next steps. And I love that we have the opportunity to be here together today celebrating that, despite all of the things that have tried to shut this down. Guys, we just came out of a pandemic. At one point, there was talk about murder bees. I don't know if that was true or not, but that was a dream I had. That was weird. There's been a lot of weird 2020 stuff that is really trying to shut this down. Did anyone here try to give themselves their own haircut during this time? Just a quick show of hands. Just so you know, you're lucky, because those big awkward square hats cover your hair so we won't even know. It looks good. Well done. But in all seriousness, guys, I've been either volunteering or working as a youth pastor for the majority of my life. And this is the weirdest summer of graduations I think any of us have ever seen. Guys, we're so excited that we're able to do this with you today. And can we just give a hand for all of the people that made this happen? Friends, family. Also, can you all hear me okay? Fantastic. Guys, I remember being in your shoes so clearly. I remember the summer I graduated high school, I went to finish up working with my family's construction company. And I remember it was a long, tiring summer. The work was hard, the sun was hot, the hours were long. But that summer felt really easy and light because I knew that the weight of high school was off of my shoulders. And once it was done, it was time to move on to bigger and better things. And when the time came to move away, to go to work, to go to college, and to start making a life for myself, I found myself with a very deep mixture of emotions. I was excited for those next steps, but I was also anxious about it. I was so excited for what was going to be a brand new adventure, but I was also scared because it meant leaving the comfort of home and familiar people who I loved. And I think a lot of you might be feeling the same way right about now. While I was ready to take steps into the unknown, it was bittersweet. I knew that I never wanted to forget the people or the experiences that had made me into who I was today. And the same is very true when it comes to your faith. You see, your faith journey started when you asked Jesus into your life, but every day after that has brought you into this moment. All of your failures, your successes, your happiness, and heartaches, all while having a personal relationship with Jesus, have grown you and given you opportunities to trust in God. And that doesn't just end with your graduation. Actually, the exact opposite. Now is the time when you really get to put all of that into practice. You're going to have experiences that try and test what you believe in, and that's just the truth. But your entire faith journey has led you up into these moments. So as you move on to your next steps, whether it's college, maybe it's work, maybe you're taking some time just to figure out what those next steps look like, don't forget your relationship with God. He's been faithful to you from day one, and he's going to continue to be faithful to you long after you've stopped being faithful to him. So put God first and look to him when things are looking good and when maybe things aren't looking that great. Everything you've been taught up until this stage of your life was meant to be applied out there in the world for God's glory. I absolutely love the theme verse that you guys chose for this graduation, Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6, because I honestly believe that it encompasses the mindset that we take in our lives, especially during transitions. That verse reads, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and rely not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." So let's break that down, just piece by piece. The verse begins, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart." This is an act of giving your heart to God. It's an act of surrendering yourself to him. This command does not leave any room for fear, but rather says that we have to entrust ourselves to God's sovereignty. It means acknowledging the fact that he is faithful, he is all-powerful, and he wants what's best for us. This kind of trust can only come from a personal relationship with your Creator. The more you pour into that relationship and begin to know the God who loves you, the easier it's going to become to trust him. The verse continues, "Rely not on your own understanding." This is a hard one. This is a hard one for me personally, because it involves admitting that we don't know what's best. And my wife is in the front row, and she'll definitely back me up on that. Essentially, what this means is we have to let go of what we think, and we have to let God take the wheel of what he perfectly knows. It means accepting that he knows what's best for us, and that we have to be open to change, even when we think we have the perfect idea of what we're doing or where we're going. The original Hebrew translation of the word rely was actually tushim, which means to lean or physically support oneself. And just a disclaimer, I don't speak Hebrew, so don't quote me on that word. 99% sure I pronounced it wrong. But let's think about that for a minute. To lean. Let yourself lean on God. Use him and trust him. I'm a fairly large and clumsy person, and I've leaned on a lot of unsteady and unstable things. That's the truth. And it usually ends in the same way. Equally embarrassing, equally painful. Leaning on a God who loves you, and a God who never changes, and a God who's perfect, doesn't even leave you the chance to fall. The verse continues, in all of your ways acknowledge him. Again, in the original text, the Hebrew doesn't translate so much to acknowledge him as it does to know him. So let me reread that. In all of your ways, know him. That's not just on Sunday mornings, not just on Wednesday nights, but that's all days in every way. This means admitting the reality, the trustworthiness, and the love of God. We have to acknowledge that he is Lord and give him full access to our hearts. This is where you give God the room to work in your life and govern your life. And the only way you can know him is by spending time with him. And I encourage you, if this isn't a habit that you've started, make sure you leave some quiet time for God at least once a day. The world is going to be pushing you to be as busy as you possibly can, but sometimes the world can wait. Make sure you make that time with God. And I think the verse ends in just the most perfect way. And he will make your path straight. Or in simple words, he's going to lead us exactly where we need to go. And at the end of the day, what more can you ask for from your life? Follow these verses and submit yourself to God in everything that you do. And I can't wait to see the amazing things that God is going to do through each and every one of you. And before I leave you guys and we continue, I just want to give some personal advice just from me to you as you get ready to continue on with these next steps. My first piece of advice is share your faith. If you believe that Christ died on the cross for your salvation, and that he intended for us a life of belonging, of love, and of purpose, share that with the people you come into contact with. You guys are going to be interacting with so many new people throughout your life, and sharing what you believe in and what you love is never going to be a regrettable action. Talk to others, love on others, and let them see the love of Christ reflected in you, just like we've all had the privilege to see these past few years. My next piece of advice is have huge aspirations and never feel failure. Failure may be terrifying, but at the same time, it's the greatest opportunity we have to learn from our endeavors. It's better to reach for the stars and fall a little bit short than set goals for yourself that never even really get you off of the ground. If your worst case scenario is falling short of lofty goals, then who cares? It's worth striving for something great and failing than never even trying at all. And I promise you, if you put your maximum effort in, if you put the work into your studies and growing as a person, you're going to be learning. And when you put the work in and you learn, even your failures will start to feel like successes. Don't forget to stay connected to the people who helped get you to where you are today. You have friends, family, and mentors, some of them here, that have been with you up until this point in time in your life. Make sure you keep building on those relationships. Those relationships are valuable, they're real, and there are people in your life who genuinely care. You're not going to regret making phone calls and keeping people updated about what's going on in your life, because those people want to celebrate your accomplishments with you and stand by you when life is hard. And a little bonus piece of advice too, if you're moving away from home, make sure you call your mom at least once a week, because she needs it just as much as you do, trust me. And finally, my last piece of advice, and what I feel might be the most important, make sure you follow your passions. God created you with different passions, things that make you excited to get out of bed in the morning. You were given these passions for a reason, so apply them to your life. There are going to be times in your life where maybe you won't be able to make a career out of those passions, and that's completely okay. Make sure you pursue them in your free time. Because God created you unique with these passions for a purpose. It wasn't an accident, so don't ever let those die, and I promise you'll live a happier life because of it. That's really all I have for you guys. It's your turn to go out into the world, to live a life for God, and to do amazing things. Make sure you thank your parents, your teachers, your coaches, and everyone else who comes to mind when you think of how you've arrived at this point. There's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, and that is a massive understatement. Show some love to those people, and God bless you guys.